Everyone, welcome to my class. So this is the last session we are conducting for the unit business communication, and then our communication unit will be over. All the important topics that usually comes in UGC NET, the topics will be completed. So without any further delay, let's start the topic. So we are going to learn mass communication today. So by the word mass communication, we can say mass, which means large audience. We are targeting large audience. So this is known as mass communication, targeting large audience. Mass communication is also known as mediated communication. So defined by its reach, this involves transmitting message to vast undifferentiated audience simultaneously. That is, mass communication means to target the large audience which are who are undifferentiated. Mass media such as radio, television, newspaper, films, and magazines serve as the mechanical conduits for that amplify and distribute these messages widely. So, use of television, newspapers, films, and magazine, what we can do, we can target the large audience simultaneously. So these are some of the example of mass communication. A critical aspects of mass communication is the consideration of audience diverse nature. The people whom we are targeting are of diverse nature, which means the two people are not similar. The culture, the living lifestyle are different. The behavior, the attitudes, the beliefs of the people are different because we are targeting large audience, and its feedback mechanism differs significantly from interpersonal exchanges, often being direct or delayed. Because we are targeting large audience, so the feedback mechanism here can be delayed. It's not spontaneous, it's not simultaneous. So here the feedback mechanism in mass communication is delayed or indirect. So, see, mass communication is the use of internet, the newspaper, the infographies, the radio, the television, the TV news. These are some of the examples of mass communication. So, what is the meaning of mass communication? Mass communication refers to the process of transmitting message or information to a large audience and scattered audience, usually through mass media channel such as newspaper, television, radio, cinemas, and digital platform. It is designed to inform, educate, entertain, or influence a large number of people simultaneously. So, mass communication means it simply means that we are targeting large audience who are of diverse nature, and we usually use mass media like our the use of internet like televisions, radios, cinemas. However, newspapers and magazines also belong to the mass communication because here also we are targeting large audience who are of diverse nature. We usually use mass communication to inform people, to spread our knowledge, to entertain them. So these are some of the features of mass communication. So coming to the mass communication, it is large audience because we are targeting diverse people. Use of technology or media like internet. Mass media is one way communication because here feedback is not spontaneous. For example, suppose you are only using internet or you any kind of broadcast is going on radio, so you only listen to the broadcast, you do not entertain or you do not provide feedback instantly, so it's a one way communication. Professionally planned message, just like in broadcast everything is pre-planned. So it is a suppose a prime minister is giving a lecture or is conducting a meeting online or through the use of online to target the large audience like Narendra Modi. Whenever he comes, he speaks to the audience or the people on television to a which means he is conducting mass communications, the use of television, and he is targeting large audience. Public accessibility, we can assess it. There are rapid and simultaneously reach as soon as the broadcast goes on, it becomes available in the radio. Limited feedback, the feedback is not instant. And goal oriented, so it is goal oriented whether we have to share our knowledge or it is the purpose is to entertain or influence or to acknowledge someone. So this is goal oriented, so it's very easy. So mass communication targets large audience through the use of technology. The process of feedback is minimum here, and it targets basically the public, and it is goal oriented and one way communication. Coming to the function of mass communication is informative. So mass communication is basically conducted in order to provide any kind of information or ideas or facts to the audience. It is educational, helps in spreading knowledge, public awareness campaigns. Whenever we conduct any kinds of campaigns or any kind of workshops, the what is the aim of the mass communication? To spread the knowledge. Number third is persuasive. So the main purpose of mass communication is to influence people, to influence the public. So it is persuasive. Entertainment. It is also through entertainment, like mass communication happening through different OTT platforms. The sole purpose of OTT platform is to provide entertainment to the large audience. Cultural transmission. Then it provides messages, or it connects with the large audience in order to spread any kind of culture or traditions or norms. The next one is surveillance, to monitor social events, government actions and international developments. And the last one, interpretive, helps in analysis and interpretation of the complex issue. So these are some of the functions of the mass communication. So mass communication is informative. It provides information. It can be used for educational purposes to target the students. It is pervasive, and it is also entertaining, like in OTT platforms. It helps in spreading of the culture, the society. It helps in influence the society. Also, it helps us in monitoring the different government initiatives and the government actions that is going on, and also helps in analysis and interpretation of the issues. That is, it is interpretative. So am I clear what is mass communication? Now, coming to the theories of mass communication, there are basically 5 to 6 of theories of mass communication, but some of the important ones which the UGC usually targets are: number one, spiral of silence theory. So, what is spiral of silence theory? The spiral of silence theory was proposed by Elizabeth Nozzle Newman in 1974, and it means the spiral of silence theory explains how public opinion is formed and why people may remain silent rather than explain their views when they perceive their opinion to be in minority, fearing social isolation or rejection. So, as the word signify, spiral of silence theory, that is, people prefer to remain silent here. What they do, they just listen to the opinions of others. They listen what they are speaking, and then choose to remain silent in order of the fear of being judged or the fear of rejection. So that is why they prefer to be silent. So this theory explains that how the public opinion, you are forming an opinion about anything, any issue, but you choose to be silent just because you want to listen what the surrounding is talking about, and then you perceive the opinion and choose to remain silent because of the fear of social isolation or rejection. So this is spiral of silence theory. The key assumption of silence theory is that people constantly monitor public opinion around them. They look for what people are saying about a particular issue. They listen to them, but they do not speak about it. Individual fear social isolation if their opinion is unpopular. They feel like if they speak about that particular issue, maybe that is not that important, and they may fear of social isolation or rejection. So that is why they prefer to remain silent. Mass media plays a strong role in shaping dominant opinions in society. So here, mass media plays an important role. Nowadays, internet and social media are developing, are growing at a very fast and rate. So that is why mass media plays a strong role here. Those who believe in their view is minority based tend to remain silent, creating a spiral where the dominant opinion appears stronger, even if it isn't a majority view. So here, what happened? The ones who remain silent because of the fear of isolation and creating a spiral. That means this is a spiral where the dominant opinion appears stronger, wherein even if the minority who remains silent, they do not speak, because of which the dominant position is of the people who who is speaking, who is forming an opinion. So that is spiral theory. For example, in a political debate on TV, if most speakers support a specific candidate, people with opposing views may avoid expressing their disagreement publicly due to the fear of isolation. Suppose you have gone in a debate, and people there, majority, like 90% of them, are supporting some other team. So because even if you are supporting that the 10% of the people, but you will choose to remain silent because of the fear that even if if you choose to support that 10%, then maybe people may reject you or ignore you, or the fear of, and because of the fear of isolation. So that is why what you prefer to keep quiet, and you just do not say anything, and just remain silent. So that is the theory of silence theory. This is silence theory. This is a timeline in the history of mass media. I don't think so I need to explain here anything to you. Just give a reading to this. Coming forward with a dance. See, this is a spiral of silence theory. Willingness to speak out, people who speak, and person with minority viewpoint, people who choose to remain silent, is here. People who speak few, like they prefer to speak a little, remains here. People with minority viewpoint and people who speak out loudly remains at the top. And the fear of isolation, because they choose to remain silent because of the fear of isolation, because of ignorance. So that is why this is known as the downward spiral of silence, which means the people who speak out remains at the top, people with minority view, people with minority view comes to the second, and people who choose to remain silent remains at the third. So this is known as the downward spiral of silence, the top to bottom. Am I clear? Coming to the next theory of mass media, which is cultivation theory. Cultivation theory was developed by George Irwin and Larry Gross in 1976. What do you mean by cultivation theory? Cultivation theory explains that long term repeated exposure to media, especially television, gradually shapes viewers' personality of social reality, making them believe that world is similar to what they watch on TV. So this theory basically specifies that continuous reinforcement of something will lead to the belief will lead you to believe the same viewpoint which the others are thinking. Suppose you are watching something on TV. If someone is saying A is good, your continuous watching on television or any social media platform or internet that A is good, at a point will come wherein you will also start believing that A is good. So that is what cultivation theory says, that a complete or a long-term exposure to any media platform will gradually shape the human perception about that particular thing, and he will also start believing that the world is behaving in a similar way. So this is known as the cultivation theory. Suppose you are watching a television, and in this television you are seeing that A is good. Again next day also you see A is good. Again next day it's the same thought he's delivering. Again the same thought. Then a day or a point will come where you will also start believing gradually that A is good. So this will become your viewpoint also. So this is what cultivation theory speaks about. Cultivation theory media, especially TV, is a central source of storytelling in society. Heavy viewers of media are more likely to adopt beliefs and attitudes portrayed in it. If people are relying more on television, they are constantly and repeatedly exposing to those part of those television, then he will also start adopting and believing those attitude. It leads to a mean world syndrome where people exposed to violence of media believe the world is more dangerous than it is really is. So it is known as the mean world syndrome, because whatever the television is showing or whatever it is delivering, you will start expecting that from the society also. For example, a person who regularly watches shows may believe that crime rates are very high even if statistics shows otherwise. Yes, if you're continuously watching Crime Patrol, now we'll start believing that crimes rate are increasing because in the television it is displaying, every new episode is displaying that crime rates are increasing. However, even if the statistics prove that it is not, but you will start believing the television, you will start believing the media because it is delivering that crimes rate are increasing. So this is known as cultivation theory. Coming to the next theory, which is uses and gratification theory. What does this deliver? UGT explains that audience are active participant using media to satisfy their personal needs and desires rather than passive recipients of information. So, uses and gratification theories specify why a particular person uses a particular media. He has a particular justification to that. Why he is preferring radio over television. Why he is preferring social media over television. So, this is the uses and gratification theory, which means he uses a particular media or he opts to select a particular media because of his personal needs to satisfy his personal desire and interest. Here, the participants are very active. For example, audiences choose media content deliberately to meet their needs. Media competes with other sources of satisfaction. Individuals knows the motives and expectations from media consumption. So, in uses and gratification theory, the audience know what they want. They know what they want to hear. So, on the basis of that, they opt or they choose a particular media wherein they can get the particular information, and they have a valid justification of why they opted for that particular platform, so that in order to meet their personal needs and desires. Coming to the major categories and needs, uses and gratification theory helps in sharing of information and education. It provides personal identity to the audience. It helps in social integration, it recognizes them among the society, and it provides entertainment. For example, students watching educational YouTube videos to prepare for UGC NET, fulfilling the information and learning needs. Now, suppose you are preparing for UGC NET. Now, here you are opting for a YouTube channel. You are continuously, you instead of buying any course on any social on any educational platform, you choose to watch videos of UGC NET in YouTube. So that is your choice. You are opting for YouTube videos. Why? Because in order to fulfill your information, your learning needs, your personal needs, your educational need. So that is what uses and gratification theory specifies. That is, an individual choose a particular media in order to satisfy his personal needs, his interest, and he has a particular justification to why he opted for that particular medium. Coming to the reception theory proposed by Stuart Hall, that encoding decoding model 1973. This is also known as encoding decoding model. Meaning, perception theory states that media messages are not passively accepted by audience. Instead, people interpret message differently based on their cultural background, social context, experiences, and beliefs. So, reception theory means the receiver interprets the message according to his past experience, according to his understanding, according to his cultural background and his social context. And on the basis of that, he interprets the message and understands the message. Encoding, media producers create message with intended message. Decoding, audience interpret this message, but interpretation may vary. Suppose there is a person, he is uh, suppose the encoder encodes the message as hi, how are you? And the decoder, on the other hand, the decoder decodes the message in a way which belongs to his experiences, according to his cultural background, according to his social context. For example, a government advertisement promoting a new tax policy. Some people accept it, some people oppose to it, and some people negotiate about it. Now, what is acceptance, what is the dominant behavior, what is negotiated reading, and what is oppositional reading? Come, there are three types of readings in reception theory. Number one is dominant or preferred reading. Does the word dominant means? Which means the audience accept the message as it is. Audience accept the message as intended by the producer. If the producer is saying how are you, then the audience will accept it as how are you. Number two is the negotiated reading, where there is a negotiation between the producer and the receiver, that is, the sender and the receiver. Audience partly accept the message but interpret some elements differently. So, what happens here? The receiver or the audience partly accepts the message and interprets some message according to his understanding. So, here it is a mixture of both dominant also and oppositional reading also. Coming to the oppositional reading, here the audience rejects or interprets the message contrary to the intended meaning. Now, what happens in oppositional reading? Here the audience or the receiver receives the message, but he interprets the message according to his understanding. He will not look into what the sender is willing to say, or what the sender was intended to mean, but he will interpret the message according to his understanding, according to his social culture. So these are the three types of reading in receptional theory. That is dominant, audience accept the message as it is. In negotiated reading, there is a there is a partly acceptance of the message as it is, and some part of the elements which according to the receiver. Whereas in oppositional reading, here the receiver or the audience accept the message as he is willing to accept, and not according to the sender or the producer. Am I clear? So this is the receptional theory. See, just give you an example. Here, dominant, he's accepting as it is. Here, in negotiating, both people come in the picture. He's also accepting it and also rejecting it. Whereas in a oppositional, he rejects the message and accept according to his understanding. Okay. Now comes some additional models. Just give me a minute. I'm sorry for that noise. Coming to some additional models of this is not of this does not belong to, yeah, this does not belong to the mass communication model, but this is some additional model that is usually after UGC net. So let's begin. Coming to the Aristotle model. So Aristotle model, what does it say? It says there is a speaker, there is a speech, an audience, and effect. So there is a speaker. It is a public speaking model where we are targeting different people who belong to a different culture, who belong to different backgrounds. Okay, here we start with a speaker. There is a speaker who gives a speech to the audience, and then the audience interprets the message and gives back the effect. Now, here there is a presence of occasion. Occasion here plays a very major role. Occasion, like there is some occasion. So, if we're in UGC net, if they ask you, occasion is important in which type of model, what do you have to answer? You have to answer Aristotle model of communication. So, what it is about, it focuses mainly on public speaking and persuasive communication. Think of a politician giving a speech, a lawyer arguing a case, or a teacher giving a lecture. So, here the teacher, suppose a teacher giving a lecture. So, a teacher will speak, he will give us some information, that is the speech, and to the whom? The audience is the students. And there is a occasion means the teacher teaching in the class, so she or he is delivering a lecture, so that is the occasion. What are the key elements? Speaker, the person who delivers the message, they need to be credible and skilled in speaking. The speech is the message, the actual content that is being delivered. Here what the content is in student teacher interaction, the educational content. Okay. Coming to the audience is the listener. Here the listener is our students. Students who are listening. Just a minute. Yeah. The people or the group of people receiving the message. The speaker needs to understand the audience to make speech effective. The next is the effect, the desired outcome or impact the speaker wants to have on the audience. What is the effect? Suppose a teacher is giving a lecture to the students. Now, she has delivered the lecture. Now, what is the effect on the students? Have they understood the lecture? Have they understood what the teacher has taught them? So, what is the outcome of the lecture? Have the student understood the lecture? Have they grasped the lesson? So, that is the effect. Why Aristotle model is important? It highlights the importance of the speaker's credibility and audience role in public speaking. It is the foundational model for understanding rhetoric and persuasion. So this is one of the important model, and this is also known as the foundational model. Can you please tell me one more model that serve as the foundational model? I taught you yesterday. Yes, Berlow's SMCR model is also known as the foundational model, and Aristotle model is the foundational model for persuasion for rhetoric behavior. So this is Aristotle model. It is very easy. Just to remember, in Aristotle model, there is an important keyword which is occasion, where the sender gives a speech and the audience interprets it and creates an outcome or the effect. So this is Aristotle model. Coming to Osgood Scramble model of communication. So Osgood Scramble model of communication, when was it developed? It was developed in 1954. It is based on the idea that communication is continuous and a circular process. He said that communication is continuous, is ongoing, and it goes on continuously. It is a circular process. Unlike the linear model, this one emphasizes that communication is not one way. Instead, both people involved are constantly sending and receiving the message. He stated that here the sender and the receiver continuously sends and receive the message continuously sends and receive the message simultaneously. What are the key elements of this model? Encoder, he encodes the message. Decoder, he decodes the message to interpret it. Interpreter, this is a crucial part. It's the person mental process of understanding, responding, and preparing their own process message. So here, the person mental state, how he is interpreting the message according to his understanding. So he is known as the interpreter. The message, that is the content that we are sharing. The field of experience, this is very important concept in this model. It refers to the shared knowledge, cultural background, and experiences that two people have. The more shared experience, the easier communication become. Now I made you understood this field of experience in one more model. So write down in the chat box what was that model. So field of experience is very important here also in Osgood Scramble model, because the two people who are communicating together should have a shared experiences, should belong to the same culture, or they should understand the topic or the content they are talking about. So the background, the culture, the knowledge of the people, the experiences of the people, both the people, the sender and the receiver, should be similar. The more they match, the easier the communication will become. Why is it important? It highlights that communication is a circular and dynamic process where roles of sender and receiver are constantly changing. This model states that the communication is circular process. That means when the sender sends the message, the receiver receives and provides feedback continuously, which means it is a circular model. It also emphasizes the critical role of sharing understanding and common experiences for effective communication. That is your field of experiences. That states that the sender and the receiver should have the same experiences. The culture, the background, the language should be similar. The more they match, the more the communication become easier and more the communication become effective. So this is known as Osgood Scramble model. Am I clear? So in Osgood Scramble model, what are the key points? Number one is that to the presence of field of experience. Number two, he stated that this model is circular and that communication is ongoing. Number third is that the roles of the sender and the receiver are constantly changing, because once the sender sends the message, then the receiver also becomes the sender and he sends the message and inform the sender, the previous sender, that he has understood the message and that he has interpreted the message. Am I clear? So here, encoder, decoder, and interpreter. The message is being sent, it is interpreted, it is encoded, it is decoded, and the message again is sent. This shows that it is a continuous process. It is an ongoing process. Now, coming to the additional topic, which is hot and cool media. Also, this is also one of the important topic in the previous your question. You will see that UGC has mentioned that which media is also known as high definition media. So they will ask you, and you have to choose the correct option, right? So coming to the hot and the cool media, what is hot media? Hot media is also known as high definition model. High definition media, I'm so sorry, detailed information requiring less audience participation to fill in gaps. So hot media is a media wherein the audience is passive. The audience is not so much active, because in hot media it is a high definition. All the information are provided in a particular structured format. So the interaction of the audience become passive here. Here each and every detail is provided to the audience, and the audience just understand the message. He doesn't have to put an extra effort to understand the message. The characteristics is high data density. One sense is fully engaged. Little interaction or participation of the audience, because every bit of information is provided to the audience. Complete, well detailed message is given here, and this extends a single sense in high definition, which means that the receiver doesn't have to provide an extra effort, or he just have to hear or listen to the message, and he doesn't have to put an extra effort to interpret the message. Examples: radios. prints, movies. Suppose you're going in a movie, the movie is being shown. You understand the message as it is. It delivers the message in a very structured format, in a very attractive manner, and you understand the message very nicely. You don't have to put an extra effort to understand the movie. So that is an hot media, which involves high definition, detailed information, passive audience. Coming to the cool media is just opposite of the hot media, that it involves low definition, that requires less detailed information, requires higher audience participation to interpret or fill in the cracks, because here every bit of information is not given and the audience has to interpret the message very nicely, very in-depthly. He has to put an extra effort to understand the message, because it is a low definition media. The characteristics are low data intensity, demands more involvement and interaction of the audience. Here, the audience are active. They have to use multiple senses to interpret the message. It encourages participation and interpretation, because here the audience are active and they have to interpret the message according to their understanding. Example, television, telephones, comic books, seminars and discussion. Like seminars, whenever you go on in a seminar to visit any workshop or conference, what you have to do, the workshop or the conference is going on, but you have to interpret the message, what they are speaking about. So that is a low defined media. That is the cool media. You have to understand, you have to ask question, you have to raise a discussion in order to understand or interpret the message they are speaking about. So that is a cool media. Coming to the hot and the cool media definition, hot media is high definition, low participation. On the other hand, cool media requires low definition. It is low definition, and henceforth it requires high participation. Here, the audience are passive, because interpretation can be done very nicely in a very easy manner. But here, the audience has to play an active role, because it is requires high participation. Sensory, focus on one sense intensity, because the audience doesn't have to interact or participate so much, whereas use multiple senses here in cool media, because the participation of the audience should be high. Examples: radio, print, cinema. Here, TV, telephone, comics, social media are some of the examples of cool media. Am I clear? What is hot media and cool media? Just remember the key points. Hot media means high definition, low involvement of the audience, passive audience, whereas cool media is low definition, it involves high media and active interactions. So now moving forward to hard and soft skill. So what is hard and soft skills? Very easy to understand. Hard skill and soft skills are two essential categories of skill required for personal and professional success. They differ in nature, method of acquisition, and application. What is hard skills? Hard skills are technical, measurable, and teachable abilities that can be learned through formal education, training, or practice. Suppose you are learning how to operate a machine, like example, or foreign profession language proficiency. So you are going to learn a foreign language, so that is a hard skill, because you can learn about it. You can join any educational institute to learn about that language. So that is a use of hard skill. Now when you learn that language, there is a weekly test, or there is a unit test, or there is a test at the end of the semester that is being conducted in order to measure that you have learned that foreign language or not. So it is measurable, it is teachable, you are understanding, you are going joining an institute to understand that language. So hard skill is technical, it is measurable, and it is teachable uh, abilities. The characteristics of hard skills are: it is specific and job related. Now you can learn that foreign language and apply in some institute in foreign, or you can become an educator of that foreign language. So it is job related. It is tangible and measurable. We can measure it through grades, through marks, acquired through courses, certification, and practice. After you complete your course and you pass in that exam, you get a degree course or a certification, easily tested and demonstrated through unit test, weekly test, or end of the test, right? So example is data analysis. You learn Python, Java, accounting, operating machine, or typing speed are some of the hard skills. So hard skill is measurable, it is teachable, and it is technical. And it is acquired through courses and certifications. Coming to the soft skill, just opposite to the hard skill, soft skill cannot be measured. It is those skills that you have learned or that is within you from the very start when you were born. So that is your soft skill. Suppose the way you are talking are your soft skills. Soft skills are personal attitude or interpersonal abilities that determines how effectively you interact, communicate, and work with others. For example, it is non-technical and personally driven, difficult to measure. It is learned through experiences, observation, and self-development, high valuable from for teamwork and leadership. Now, soft skill is something that is within you, which you learn over time, or which you learn by seeing or observing other people. It is not measurable and it is not teachable. You cannot measure this soft skills. Suppose the way you are communicating. So you see someone and learn how they are communicating. Slowly and gradually, you start interacting in a similar way. So that is soft skill, like communication skill, leadership and teamwork, problem solving technique. You are working in an organization. You learn about it, seeing others. You see your managers how they solve the problem. How then you start adapting that also, that behavior, that you will also solve the problem in a similar way. How to manage your time, emotional intelligence, how to handle your EI, adaptability and flexibility. So these are some of the soft skills. That means soft skill is not measurable, it is not technical. This is something that is within people, that is, it is interpersonal abilities and the personal attributes. So the difference between the hard skill and the soft skills are, it is technical and job specific, whereas soft skill is interpersonal, behavioral, measurement. It is easily measurable through tests, but it is difficult to measure. We cannot conduct anything related to the soft skill. We cannot grade someone on the basis of soft skills. Accusation, it is formal training and practice, that is, it is structured, whereas soft skill is through experiences, through your self development, through social interaction, you learn such soft skill. It is task oriented. In just like I gave you an example, you are conducting a teacher is conducting a unit test for you, so it is task oriented, whereas this is people oriented because you learn through experiences, through social interaction. Examples are coding, bookkeeping, machine learning, whereas soft skills are communication, teamwork, leadership, which you learn gradually over time and which you learn with experiences through observing others or social interactions. So these are the hard and the soft skills. Hard skills are specific, teachable ability, whereas soft skills are communication, listen, empathic, understanding someone. So these are something which you learn over time or experiences. Coming to the last page, some of the important terminologies in communication. Number one is the yellow journalism. Yellow journalism refers to the sensational or exaggerated news intended to attract audience, not factual or ethical reporting. This is a journalism which is not based on the in-depth knowledge or in-depth research. This is just printed, or this is just shown to the audience in order to attract the audience towards them. And such news are not original or maybe not well researched. Coming to feed forward pre-communication research or the collection of audience and contextual information before designing a communication strategy. Suppose I came in this class and before starting communication unit, I asked anyone who can define a communication. So that is and I mentioned to today, hello people, hello learners, we are going to learn a communication unit. So that is a pre-information which I am giving you before starting the unit, that we are going to learn communication unit today. So that is feed forward. That is, before starting the session, the information I am providing you, that is feed forward. Coming to the third one, grapevine communication. Grapevine communication is also known as informal communication, which where we talk about the rumors, the gossip that is not part of the formal education. Coming to the selective perception means we selectively choose what we want to perceive about a particular individual and what part we want to reject. So that is selective perception. That is inferring the message in a way which we want to after selection of some part and rejecting of some other part. So the tendency of an individual to receive communication selectively based on their preconceived notion, attitudes, and personal biases. Entropy means there is a lack of order, no order, proper format. It is unstructured. Metonymy means it is a figure of speech in which one word or phrase is a substitute for another with which it is closely associated. For example, Hollywood. If we say Hollywood, metonymy means if we say Hollywood, you understand we are referring to the US film industry. So means a word or a phrase which we use in substitute of some other word. So that is metonymy. Cathras. Cathras means is a is a way in which one releases the emotional aspects. Suppose if I'm emotional, I start listening to emotional songs or watch emotional movies. So that is my way of that is my way wherein I can express that I am emotional. So what is catharsis? It is a Greek philosophy and drama widely used in communication literature and psychology, meaning an emotional release or purification experiences by the individual or after witnessing an intense emotional event. Suppose if you are watching an emotional or heartbreaking movie, viewers can cry. So that is your emotional release, your release of the emotion. So that is catharsis. While watching an emotional movie, you start crying, or while watching an entertaining movie, you start laughing. So that is the release of an emotional release. So that is the release of your emotion. That is catharsis. Subliminal message, which means it is a hidden or subtle message embedded in a communication or media designed to bypass conscious awareness and influence a person's thoughts, emotions, and behavior subconsciously. For example, movies, hidden suggestive images inserted in frames for psychological impact. So these are some of the messages which are delivered to the audience without being informed. Suppose they are delivering such message wherein they are not particularly speaking of the message, but subconsciously they are influencing or impacting the audience mind. So that is subliminal messages. So I clear yellow journalism, wherein which is not in-depth research, wherein it is done just to pull the audience towards them, feed forward a prior information given to the audience. Grapevine is the informal communication. Selective perception means choosing or selectively choosing communication based on their attitude, beliefs, and biasness. Entropy means lack of the order. Metonymy means a phrase or word used to substitute some other word, whereas catharsis means the release of the emotion by experiencing an event or a case. And supplement message means the hidden message which is delivered to the audience without them being known. So these are some of the terminologies. So here we complete the communication unit. All the important topics that has been asked in UGC NET we have completed and covered each one of them. Now, learners, I kindly request you all to please solve the previous year question. Only then you will get to know how the questions arise from these topics. So you have to take out your PDF, or if you have the book, you have to take out and start marking the PYQ. See where you are making any mistake, and start interpreting the message. I'm so sorry. Yeah, message. The question. You start interpreting each of the options. Suppose you have chosen a wrong one, or you have chosen a right one, but you have to also interpret the remaining three options. That why those options are not coming. Where we use that options. How we can now start framing that where those option. How can those option arise in some other questions? So you have to understand each and everything very nicely. Solving PYQ, MCQ, everything is very necessary. Just reading the text, and also seeing the class, and then learning and reading the unit doesn't make any sense. You until and unless you solve the PYQs, until and unless you solve the MCQ, nothing will work. You have to start giving mock test. You have to start solving the previous year question. Give yourself a timeline. So I suppose I have given 1 week timeline for communication. Complete the communication within that timeline. Solve the unit test, solve the PYQ, MCQ, mock test, everything related to communication. Only then you will understand that whether your communication is 100% complete or not. So you have to work in that way. Otherwise, clearing GRF is very difficult. Be- and nowadays the standards and the approach of GRF questioning answering is also changing. So you have to understand everything very nicely, very in depthly. You have to solve. Again, I'm repeating: solve mock test, solve PYQ, solve MCQ. Otherwise, nothing is going to work. So that's all for today's class. I'll end my session here only. Give a reading to the complete unit of communication. If any problem arises, do ask me. I'll solve your problem. Solve MCQ, PYQ. Till then, keep studying, keep smiling. Bye, everyone.